Can this Leafs win in Columbus be the season turning point? You're listening to the Locked On Leafs podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. It's your team every day.
You're Locked On Maple Leafs, your daily podcast on the Toronto Maple Leafs. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello and welcome into the Locked On Leafs podcast, a daily Maple Leaf-centric podcast hosted by myself, Mike DiStefano, and my co-host, Dave Morassutti. Thank you so much for making us your daily listen each and every weekday, and also thank you for making the Locked On Network the number one sports network host, sports podcast network in North America. What's happening, Dave? How we feeling on a Victory Thursday?
Yeah, wait, are those still allowed?
Apparently, yeah. The Leafs are able to win games. Yes, they can actually pick up 2 points in any given game and rise in the standings. That is allowed, and that's what they did in this game against Columbus.
It was actually a pretty good day for Toronto sports fans, not going to lie.
Yeah, I mean, the Toronto parlay, I guess, is what you could call it, right? The Leafs win, the Raptors win, and the Blue Jays win the Dylan Cease sweepstakes. So you got the trifecta of Maple Leafs or of Toronto sports teams doing good work here.
Yeah, it's refreshing. You know, I thought the hockey gods are saying, well, if you want the Jays and the Raptors to do good, it ain't going to be possible for the Leafs. Well,
Yeah.
Well, jury's still out on the Leafs if this is going to be the as you kind of said in the cold open, the catalyst for about a turnaround,
the turning point. Yeah, can this be the turning point of the season? Right, that was kind of like, I think that's a legitimate question. Like, can this be the turning point of the season? Because I think if you watch the game, you break it down, you saw some things that are looking as though it's going in the right direction. I guess you could say there's still some sloppiness. There's still too many giveaways, and there was still some bad pinches and too many turnovers and 2-on-1s and odd man rushes. That was the phrase I was looking for. And Joseph Woll had to save the day copious amounts of times. It wasn't for Joseph Woll. This is definitely a much larger score, and it's an L.
This is the typical Leafs versus Columbus score.
Yeah, right. Like it probably would have been more of a 6-2 finish than it was a 2-1 Leafs win. Like, Joseph Woll was by far the best player on the ice tonight, and he's the big reason why the Maple Leafs picked up 2 points. But that was a big thing. What helped them win games last year, right? Like, they got terrific goaltending, and this year it hasn't been there. Right, their save percentage as a team has been, what was it, 886? We looked up the numbers a couple of days ago, like an 886 team save percentage. Not good enough, right? Just not good enough for a team that expects to be in the playoffs. But you get a goaltending performance like that might qualify as getting goalied. Like, the way that
feeling a win for your team.
Woll played tonight, like, that might classify as a goalie performance.
It absolutely does. And again, you talk about it, like, maybe the last time the Leafs had a goalie steal them a game was probably when Stolarz stole that game against the Rangers.
That was what, game 3 of the season?
It's like, it was quite early on in the season that happened. Like, again, you need your team to be playing at a higher level, and you need your team to be playing well in front of your goalie. But once in a while, your goalie has to kind of put himself in a position to say, "It's my night. I'm not losing. I'm not losing this game."
Yeah, and he was fantastic. I think he ended the night with 35, 36 saves on
36 shots, I think.
Yeah, so stopped 35 shots, or 35 saves on 36 shots, a 972 save percentage, and made 8 or 9 10 bell saves tonight. I mean, the amount of stops he made, even late in the third period after Toronto tied it up, that one stop that he made on the 2-on-1 there, and the the follow-up save as well. Ended up kind of backwards, and pucks are still hitting him. A really great night from Joseph Woll. So, we could dive into his game in just a moment. But, it was good to see the team healthy as well. Like, I think that's another step in the right direction. They're finally getting the guys out on the ice that they envisioned playing for them at the beginning of the season, right? Like you saw everybody kind of return tonight. You saw Matthews and Nyes and Nicola Wall all get back out onto the ice. So the team looked more full, I suppose, and more what it's supposed to look like. Like eventually you get Chris Tanev back, that'd be terrific. And, Carlo, if he can return and play to last year's standard as opposed to what we've seen from him over the last little bit, now you kind of look, okay, this team's going in the right direction. There's still a lot more to climb. Like there's still a much higher climb to get themselves out of the basement of the East, which is where they started prior to puck drop. They were quite literally dead last in the Eastern Conference. All right, they pick up 2 points, and now I believe that puts them ahead of Buffalo with 23 points.
1 point ahead.
So 1 point ahead of the Sabres. Good for you. Congratulations. But you're going in the right direction at least, and you're now just 4 points out of a playoff spot, or 3 points out of a playoff spot than 5. So step in the right direction. There still was a lot to clean up, but overall, they at least found a way to win the game, which is they haven't been able to find those wins a whole lot this season, and they're able to get it done this time around, which was good to see.
It is, like at some point when you're a team that's struggling as much as the Leafs have been, and look, I understand. I was quite critical watching the game. I was talking to people, like, wasn't the greatest performance, but at the same time, you have to start somewhere. You're not just gonna flip a switch and just massively turn yourselves into last year's team, right? Like, it is going to take some time, right? 3 guys made their return from the lineup after a healthy amount of games off.
Right.
They're not just going to come back and everything's going to be kind of all rosy and it's going to be easy, right? And look, and also you see how this game, especially in I would say late in this first majority, like part of the second period, maybe around that time the goal was called off, they were starting to slip back into those bad habits that were leading to those unfortunate losses that they've had this year. So there's still moments that they still have to kind of figure it out, but we were seeing in the first period signs of where things were getting better, and then the penalty trouble happened, and so that kind of took a little bit of that gave momentum to Columbus for sure.
The Dakota Mermis penalty, by the way, what the hell was that? All like
how that wasn't
the guy was literally like he took a beating and then ended up getting he was in a headlock and then somehow he ends up in the penalty box. What the hell, like, what is that all about? It legitimately looked like Craig Berube wanted to punch the referee in the face. He was so flabbergasted that Mermis got the roughing call on that one. He could not believe it. I thought he was literally going to grab the guy by the collar and just sucker him right in the mouth. He was so mad, and rightfully so. That was such an outrageous call, and like you said, it kind of killed the little bit of momentum that the Maple Leafs were starting to kind of put forward and put together too.
Yeah, and that's what it felt like. I also see this as where I would like to see the Leafs not how's the best way not to take a step back in those moments and not lose the aggressive style of play just because you get called for a penalty. I don't think that was the reason why they stopped playing aggressive. I just think that Columbus found some momentum and the Leafs struggled to find that pushback. But those sort of swings and changes have killed the Leafs pretty good this season, and they got to find a way to rally and not let those moments put you on your heels, and your goaltender now has to make a bunch of 10 bell saves to keep you in the game.
Yeah, 26 scoring chances at 5-on-5. The Blue Jackets had tonight 35 scoring chances in general, compared to the Leafs 25, but only 11 high danger chances, which is a lot. Let's not act like that's an insignificant number, but at least the Maple Leafs outchanced them in the high danger volume, 14-11, the Maple Leafs, for high danger chances at the very least. So they had more quality of chances, whereas the Blue Jackets had the quantity of chances. And the good part is Joseph Woll was right there to make each and every stop. Let's come back. Let's get into the 3 stars. I'm sure he'll come up. I think the Cowboys going to come up as well. So 3 stars of the game coming up next in the Locked On Leafs podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. It's your team every day. The NHL is back, and there's no better place to get in on the action than with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the Locked On Network. Even if you missed the start of the game or you want to ride the hot hand, FanDuel has live bets on everything from who's going to score the next goal to third period comebacks. Plus, you can even combine your live bets into a same-game parlay for a shot at a bigger payout. It keeps every game exciting, especially when your team's making that late push. Right now, FanDuel is giving new customers $300 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. So head to FanDuel.com to sign up and play your game of FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the Locked On Network. Welcome back into the Locked On Leafs podcast. Mike DiStefano, David Morassutti with you as we are each and every weekday, Monday through Friday, with brand new episodes of the Locked On Leafs podcasts, which are free and available wherever you get your podcasts. You can also find it on YouTube as well. Subscribe for your daily dose of Maple Leafs content. Speaking of the Leafs, they get back into the win column. They put a stop to the losing skid. They win 2-1 in overtime against the Columbus Blue Jackets. They avoid the sweep, too. The Blue Jackets were looking to go 3-0 on the Maple Leafs this year, which would have just been atrocious if that were to have happened. But Easton Cowan finds a way to tie it late. William Nylander finds a way to score. Didn't have a great, the best. That's the funny thing about Nylander. And we'll probably get into it in just a moment here. But, the guy could have, a game where he's a bit of a floater. He's got a couple chances, but not really much of a factor. And then all of a sudden, you look in the score sheet, it's like, oh, he had the game winner, though. So he was the difference at the end of the day. And when you're that skilled and that talented, I guess you can do that and be kind of that separator and difference maker for teams. And he's got to do that a lot more often. He's got to shoot a lot more often, too. Funny part is he's trying to pass the puck off. He wasn't even trying to shoot it at first in overtime. He's trying to get it to Auston and then realized, oh, puck ended up back on my stick. I guess I'll shoot at a wide open net because Greaves is all the way to the other side, and they end up winning the game and celebrating. They get the full 2 points. Let's get to our 3 stars of the game, Dave. Shouldn't be a surprise who the first star is, though.
Yeah, it's Joseph Woll, no question. I would have rather had him just as my all 3 stars.
Honestly, yeah, you got the game belt. Definitely got the game belt from the Buds. That's for sure.
Nobody should have even asked for the game belt. Like that should have been plastered on his locker.
Well, I think was it Riley? Did Riley have it in the last game? Whoever had the game belt from their last game, Walsh just went right over to him and said, "I'm taking this. This is rightfully mine."
Yeah, where's my belt, guys?
Right away. This is mine. Thank you very much. All right, we can now start with our team meeting. That's how that game, the post game, should have went there. But he was fantastic. I mean, absolutely unbelievable tonight. There was at least 4 or 5 of those saves where it's like, I don't know how he got it, whether it was with his glove or with his pad. The one he was literally turned around on, a 2-on-1, so many great saves that Joseph Woll was able to make, and at the right times too. Again, he only gave up the 1 goal. It came late in the game, and you thought, could be a backbreaker. Easton Cowan scores to tie it. But then he had to make 2 or 3 more, pretty good saves.
I think it was the next shift. Save, and I'm just like
3-on-1 stop, and it's like, geez Louise, man, help this guy out. Can we get more than a goal? I felt for Joseph Woll, like after he allowed the Werenski goal, the second one that finally counted, that one goes in and you're like, oh my God, they're about to lose this game. Like he went 50, whatever minutes it was, 52 minutes of perfection without giving up a goal. And he finally gives one up, and this team's not going to be able to get one for him. Luckily they did, and they got another one in overtime. But the Leafs don't even get to overtime, let alone get the win if it wasn't for that guy in the crease tonight. He was exceptional.
Yeah, exceptional. I had the same reaction to you. Anytime I see a goalie have to play like that, I'm just like, there's going to be an absolute backbreaker, not a great looking goal that's you're just going to be like, it's going to leave you're going to feel it, right? And so I like watching that game. I'm just like, get some goals, guys. Like, let's your goal when you have a goaltending performance like this, go and get something more than just one goal, 2 goals. Like, give your goalie some breathing room here. And that was probably the big critical thing I had about this is that they didn't find a way to, when your goalie is standing on his head like that, it should give you all the confidence in the world that you should be able to come away with a better opportunity to put up goals. And
yep,
at least really did struggle with that tonight. But I mean, period didn't matter with that goaltending performance.
No. All they need was one through regulation. And they got it from my second star, who was Easton Cowan. Thought he had a really good game, actually. Had a couple of chances tonight. Finally got one to Barry and an A-grade celebration afterward, too. Like the Cowboy, he fits in the top 6 here. He fits in the top 6. I think that's kind of what I've learned because, he's not afraid to, go and retrieve pucks. He's not afraid to, go into the dirty areas, but he's not afraid to shoot it either, as he clearly showed. Doesn't matter if it's in a great angle, bad it. Like he just, hey, put puck on net. That's what the coach wants me to do. Put the puck on net. Be simple. Be direct. Put it on goal. And he did that and kind of snuck it up over the goalie's shoulder. And hey, you put the puck on net, good things can happen. And it did for Easton Cowan. So that was a big goal, obviously. You surrender the 1-0 goal and then they respond like that. And wasn't the only play he made throughout the night. He had a couple good opportunities. I believe Money Puck had him as the second or third highest game score or expected goals among all Maple Leafs. And that's not points in 3 straight for Easton Cowan. He had an assist in back-to-back games and then finally gets his second goal of the season here tonight. Big time goal for the Maple Leafs here to tie the Jackets and get it to OT. So I really liked Easton Cowan's game, both on the puck, off the puck. He got my second star of the game. Yeah, he led the team actually with a 70% expected goals tonight. Led the entire team, 70% expected goals. Pretty impressive stuff.
That he was going to be my second star too, just because he was the most noticeable player in terms of consistent effort on every shift, hunting down pucks, putting himself in scoring positions. He made that one move. A player is starting to find his confidence where he is able to cut past the defenseman, go to the net, and get a shot, get an opportunity. The only thing that was, you talk about his fit in the top 6. The only thing I was going to say is what he needs to start doing is start converting on these chances.
Yeah.
And if he's going to, if that goal, let's say that goal there, we're talking about catalyst and bringing things forward. If that goal can be the catalyst for Easton Cowan to get more confidence, to shoot the puck more, to find ways to beat goalies, right? Because this is NHL goalies. You got to find a way to get that shot off quick, find a way to catch the goalie not in a good position. And those are the results you're going to get. So, yeah, I've been impressed with him pretty much all season, right? There's been dips and stuff like that, but this is what you're expecting from your top prospect, for him to have an impact, not come in, play some fourth line minutes, provide, little something. You want him to be in a position to succeed. And it feels like at this point, put him in the top, keep him in the top 6, let him do his thing until he can't do it anymore. Like that, you see the players that were scratched, None of them deserve to come back in, considering how Easton Cowan played tonight.
No, they really don't. I mean, and definitely not for Easton Cowan. Like that's for damn sure. Like that's not the guy I'm taking out of the lineup if you want to try and get Dakota Joshua back in the game. Like that's not the first guy I'm thinking of. I mean, even you look at like Max Domi, like he was elevated to the top line for whatever reason, or the Matthews line, we'll call it. And I didn't think he had a very productive day. I mean, he's the big reason for why the Werenski goal even happened, right? Like that's just a lazy play. Instead of making the crisp pass up to the blue line, just kind of lazily tried a little bump, little touch pass, and it gets cut down right away. And all of a sudden, Mermies has to decide, oh, do I have to come to this puck? Should I go away from the puck? And boom, just like that, it's coming down the other way. And you don't have numbers at that point. So if there's a guy in the top six who's losing his role, it certainly ain't going to be Easton Cowan. I'm looking squarely at Max Domi moving forward if they want to move someone out of that top six. Because, yeah, I'm with you, man. Cowan deserves to be there. That Cowan, Tavares, Nylander line, like that was the best line tonight, like for sure. And again, at Matthews and Nyes, like those guys were coming back from injury. They hadn't played in over a week, and there was some rust there, you could tell. But, I mean, still, you're talking about a 20-year-old who's outshining, like Matthews and Domi and, Nicolas Waugh and Bobby McMahon, Scott, like these guys who've been around, veterans of the game. He's outshining them. He's deserving of the role that he's been given. I think it's refreshing. And, hopefully a sign of things to come.
Well, that's it, right? You're hoping it is a sign for things to come, because they need, especially in the top six, they have to find guys that are going to be able to keep possession in the zone. They really struggle with that, and he's not making lazy plays. He could have had another goal. There was the one where he whiffed on the one-timer.
Yeah, early in the game, yeah.
Like, again, he's doing the right things. He's not cheating. Right? He's doing exactly what the coach is probably asking everyone to do.
Yeah. Well, exactly. That's why I think he understands what he needs to do. And granted, he's not guaranteed a spot each and every night. And maybe that hunger is what, allows him to play desperate because he's fighting for his job each and every night. But I mean, everyone else should be playing that way, realistically. Like if you actually held everyone accountable, not just your 20-year-old, maybe everyone else would play with a little bit more energy and go and retrieve pucks and battle and win some puck battles, right? Maybe that's exactly what accountability does. It keeps you hungry. And a young player like that is hungry to stay in the lineup and keep with his role. And he's, performing and he's performing to stay where he's at. Would love to see that from some of these other guys. Michelli when he comes back in the lineup, or Domi or Yarncroc or whoever it is, Dakota Joshua as well. Earn your keep at the end of the day. Try and earn your keep inside the lineup. Third star? Who are you giving the third star to, Dave?
I'll give Auston Matthews.
Yeah.
He didn't score, but that was a pretty good, like he wasn't invisible, or he had a presence. I guess maybe that's the best way of saying. He had a presence in this game, right? He was hunting down pucks. He showed a bit of fire in this game. Trying to get he had some, he had a shot that the goalie got a piece of, but it almost squeaked past him. I thought he deserved a bit of a better fate in this game in terms of, I thought he was doing a lot more than I think maybe what the stats showed. I know the score, I think he was like shots for and against with him.
Yeah.
Weren't exactly great.
I think his expected goals for was like pretty low. I think it was like in the 40 percentile or something like that.
We saw like
11 to 2 were the shots on goal. 26% expected goals when on the ice tonight for Auston Matthews.
And I like, to me, it felt like he was driving the line. Like Matthew Nyes didn't look exactly right to me. Again, he's
be driving the line. He's
I know. Auston Matthews should be
one of the best players in the NHL.
I know. That's right. I just kind of felt like the other guys on line weren't pulling their weight. he was the one kind of a little more pulling his weight. 60% on the faceoffs. I think he played. He's coming back from injury, and he played like what 24 minutes in this game?
Which is a season high. Played a season high in minutes after missing the last week. And they're like, "Yeah, we're gonna run you. We're gonna run you into the ground tonight." How about
like that? This was not an easy game for Auston Matthews. He played a lot, and I mean, I have to look and see who he played against, but I'm assuming he played a lot against top players on the other team.
Right? I can tell you in about 2 seconds. Did you see that he changed his stick? Apparently, I'm seeing this all. I saw this all over Twitter earlier today. Switched from CCM to Bauer, so now he's using a different twig. I wonder if that will have any impact moving forward on his goal scoring ability, changing and playing against or playing with a new stick, new company. He played against Coyle, Lundestrom, and Miles Wood mostly, and then Werenski and Provorov on the blue line.
Yeah.
So their checking line and their top pair defense. That's who he had to play against.
I think there's still ways for him to go. I still think the attacking the goal scoring area is still where they need him to really get to. But I do think he can. The defensive part of the game is still, I think, apparent for him too. He's not cheating for offense. So yeah, I thought he looked a bit more like himself.
Yeah, I guess I think Tavares had the better game overall, but hey, Willie came up clutch in the end. I'll give Willie the 3rd star, and he also broke a record. I know you don't like that at all. You don't like that at all. I was
yelling. I was screaming at Nylander to get off the ice in that overtime.
Did he sit? Did he get sat for a shift?
I guarantee. I was like,
he sat for a shift.
I said Easton Cowan's out there, but William Nylander's not. That's a sending move because Berube gave him a little bit of the year full earlier in the game, but then he gets on the ice, and it's like he's standing there going and directing things, and I'm like, "Are you hurt?" Like I did the Berube, "Are you hurt?" Because
Tavares was the better player. I did admit that, and it probably should go to Tavares, but I just want to point out this one stat. I was just trying to get the stat in here realistically. I'll give the 3rd star to Tavares because he was probably the best forward on the ice tonight for the Maple Leafs, in my opinion. Had a couple opportunities as well to score, and that line was the best performing line that they had, and I mean he's just Mr. Consistent. But I do want to put quickly before we put a bow on the 3 stars and on the game tonight. But Nylander's overtime winner tonight was his 15th overtime game-winning goal, which is now a Maple Leaf franchise record. So it was a record-scoring goal that we witnessed to get the Maple Leafs the win. That's why I was going with him as a 3rd.
Yeah, I get it.
I just want to get that stat in there, Dave.
I get it. I found that he was benched. Clearly, I think he was benched. And
let me look at his shift. See how long there was between shifts. Keep going. I'm going to look up his shift.
Again, it was just he didn't start moving his feet until he was sprung for a chance when the puck came to him, and he's like, "Okay, I'm going to start going now." And I get on 3-on-3, you can't be running around like like the Energizer Bunny constantly. You need to be putting yourself in a position where you're having you have 2 guys in your own zone trying to defend somebody that's got 3 guys on Columbus are trying to get scoring opportunities. But to me, I just didn't think that Nylander he got fortunate, I think, a little bit in that overtime where I think Columbus was a little tired. Matthews was there. They were too focused on Matthews, and he got the goal. I'll give him kudos for getting the goal, but I did not like his effort.
That's fair. I'm just trying to see now. So Tavares and Nylander. I don't know if there was a full shift where this guy missed out. I mean, Tavares and Cowan, they got out there. Cowan got out there for like a minute-long shift. Tavares was only out there for like 5 seconds. So I think maybe they just like double shifted Cowan. I don't know. It's weird, strange actually what happened there, but it looks like there could have been a missed shift there from William Nylander, a message possibly from the coach, and well, he ended up scoring the game-winning goal. So maybe message received. I think we'll know more in the next game if he plays more of a complete game, which those come few and far between from Willie, as we've come to realize. But a big 2 points for the Maple Leafs. They went 2-1 in overtime, and they climbed themselves out of the dumpster position in the Eastern Conference. But can they climb themselves out of the dumpster and into a playoff spot? I've got some damning numbers that speak to the high panic levels in Toronto right now in comparison to their playoff odds on American Thanksgiving. So we'll get to those numbers next here in the Locked On Leafs podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. It's your team every day.
Today's show is brought to you by Monarch. Let's be honest, most of us can't even name all of our financial accounts, let alone what they're worth. Between 401ks, savings, and investments, it's easy to lose track, and that can mean leaving money on the table. That's why I started using Monarch, an all-in-one personal finance tool that brings your entire financial life together in one clean, easy-to-use interface on your laptop or your phone. And that's the best part about Monarch. You don't have to get all these different apps to look at how your accounts are going, how your investments are going. You don't even need a spreadsheet. You can do it all in one app. And if you are reviewing finances with your partner, it's easy to see shared goals and make better financial decisions together. Monarch's visual dashboards and smart tools make it so much easier to understand where your money is going and how to make it work harder for you. Don't let financial opportunities slip through the cracks. Use code LOCKDOWNNHL at monarch.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarch.com/code LOCKDOWNNHL for half off your first year.
Welcome back into the Locked On Leafs podcast. Mike DiStefano, David Morassutti with you as we are each and every weekday, Monday through Friday, with brand new episodes, talking all Leafs all the time. And a special kind of happy holidays to our American listeners. Happy Thanksgiving. Hopefully everyone's enjoying their turkeys and time with the family. But this is kind of a big point in the calendar in the NHL season. They say American Thanksgiving is a good opportunity to kind of set as the barometer to know where teams are at, right? And this statistic has been floating out here today, Dave, that since 2012-13, when they, or 13-14, I guess, when they came and they changed this new format, playoff format, to a wild card format, 77% of the teams in a playoff spot by American Thanksgiving make the playoffs. So that basically means, what's that, 13? That'd be 13 out of 16, I think, on average, make the playoffs is what that equates to, which means of the teams, the 16 teams that are currently in a playoff spot, on average, only 3 of them are going to fall out, which means only 3 non-playoff teams are going to put themselves in that position. Well, obviously, the Maple Leafs are not in the playoffs right now. So can they be one of those 3 teams on average that can put themselves into the postseason when all's said and done? That is the question that we now ask ourselves. So as it sits, Dave, the Maple Leafs on American Thanksgiving, 23 games into the season, have 23 points and sit 4 points out of a playoff spot. What odds are you giving them to be one of those 23% of the teams who aren't in a playoff position that gets there?
Oh, it's tough. Like, I'm maybe a little more optimistic than some people are. I'll give them in about the 70 to 75% range. I think that they can get themselves, because they're not far off, right? They're not like 10 points out of a playoff spot. It's within 4 points now?
4 points out. They've got 23, and Pittsburgh, who they play this weekend, so a chance to pick up points on them, have the second wild card spot at 27.
Right. And they play Washington, who's also within that range as well. Like there's a chance you like we talk about, I mean, we'll probably get into it more tomorrow, but just, how
big weekend coming up.
Right. Like it's crucial. It's so crucial. And so, you're not going to make up all those points in one game, but you can, if you have a half decent road trip, right? This is a 5-game road trip and you win, let's say 4 or 5 or 3 or 5, it puts you in a much better position because there are some teams who are playing above their weight right now. And they actually asked, somebody asked Mike Sullivan about the Thanksgiving benchmark assessment. And he's like, he doesn't think he really buys into that because he's been on teams where the exact opposite happens, where being out at American Thanksgiving doesn't always mean that your season is doomed. Like, look at the Edmonton Oilers the last 2 years.
Yeah, it could totally mean, hey, let's kick it into high gear. Like some teams could use it as fuel, where it's like, hey, we're a quarter way into the season here, and we're not in a playoff spot. We got to get it. We got to get our act together and get going. It could totally serve as a catalyst to really kickstart the team. I think that's where Toronto hopes to be that style of team, right? And they use tonight's game against Columbus as kind of the kickstart that they need. And now you go, okay, you've got Washington, you've got Pittsburgh, you've got Florida. Those are your next 3 teams. All 3 of those teams you need to grab points off of because they're all ahead of you in the standings, en route to grabbing one of those 3 playoff spots that we talk about. So it's a massive weekend, man. Like you got to win at least 2 of the next 3 games, I think. I mean, it's not that the season's doom and gloom, but you'll put yourself in a far better position if you can grab points off Washington, grab points off Pittsburgh, grab points off of the Florida Panthers. You go to Carolina, if you can somehow muster up a win there and all of a sudden you've rattled off 5 in a row, now you're in a great spot. Not a great spot, but a much better spot. Probably in a playoff spot at that point if they can go 5-0 on this road trip. Tough to do, I'll say. I'm not expecting it, but if they can get it done, it's a far better outlook when we wake up on the end of this road trip will be December 5th than it is November 26th, 27th today.
Yeah, exactly, right? And that's the really considering, yes, a good stretch where they haven't done well, right, to start the year. Well, you can go on a similar trajectory to get yourself out of it too, right? You get healthier. You kind of build off of the positives rather than harping on the negatives, right? And so that's what the Leafs have to start doing. They have to start building, a positive stretch going upward rather than dwelling on the things that are not going right for you.
Yeah, I will say the statistic also that was a tad worrisome said that over the last 10 non-COVID seasons since they changed the wildcard format that we're talking about here, since 2013-14, teams that were on the outside looking in who eventually made the postseason were only on average 2.8 points back of a playoff spot on American Thanksgiving. The Maple Leafs 4 points out. So a little bit further, but not that much further out. So I think you can look at that and say, okay, on average, teams will round it up 3 points back and are able to claw themselves back within that. Leafs are 4 points. They're within striking distance of being considered in that kind of range of teams and points where you can definitely get yourself back into contention. So we'll see what the Leafs got, though. It's a big weekend, that's for sure. And we'll come back on tomorrow's show and we will tee up the big back-to-back. You got Ovi and the Caps on Friday. You've got Sid and Gino and Kyle Dubas and the Penguins on Saturday. If you can rip off back-to-back wins in this back-to-back, that'll put you 3 games in a row. That'll put this team up to, put them up to 27 points at that point. For the Maple Leafs, they'll be in a much better position if they can do that. So again, we'll come back tomorrow and we will preview those games and do all that and get you set for the weekend. But that'll do it for us on today's show. I'd like to thank you all for listening and supporting the podcast. You can subscribe to the Locked On Leafs podcast on all networks and receive daily Leafs content. Follow myself on Twitter at Mickey_Canuck. Follow Dave at _Morassutti. You can follow the show as well at Locked On Leafs. We'll be back with another episode for you guys tomorrow. But until then, keep it locked right here on Locked On Leafs.